Malaysia is indeed lucky to have wealth of treasures to be discovered. The variety of terrain unique from highland to beaches, plus the influx of flora and fauna make our country rich in biological diversity. Most people recognize the tropical rainforest ecosystem or marine life in the country, but there is another forest ecosystem that are no less important: mangrove forest ecosystem. Mangrove forest ecosystem between land and sea has a variety of functions and their intended use shall be enforced.
Mangrove trees have specific characteristics such as tough root system, special bark and special leaf structures and other unique adaptations to enable them to survive in their habitat harsh conditions. The habitat is soft, silty and shallow, coupled with the endless ebb and flow of water, providing very little support for most mangrove plants which have area or propped roots and buttress trunks. Mangrove forests are important because they protect coastline against erosive wave actions and strong coastal winds and serve as natural barriers against tsunamis and torrential storms. Second, they prevent salt water from intruding into rivers and retain, concentrate and recycle nutrients and remove toxins through a natural filtering process. Next, they also provide resources for coastal communities who depend on the plants for timber, food, medicinal herbs, and other forest products. Then, they also can be harvested sustainably for wood and other products. And lastly, important breeding ground for many fishes, crabs, prawns, and other marine animals, essential for sustainability a viable fishing industry. There are 646,000 hectares of mangrove forest in Malaysia. In Peninsular Malaysia, covering an area of 106 and 104 hectares of mangrove forest can be found, but only 1.8% are still authenticated. Of that number, substantially in Perak 43,506 hectares, Johor 24,747 hectares, Selangor 15,202 hectares, Pahang 11,502 hectares and Kedah 8,034 hectares. 366,000 hectares in Sabah and 174,000 hectares in Sarawak. For example, in Matang Mangrove Forest Reserve in Perak is one of the mangrove areas that has the best management system in the world and provide resources such as coal, firewood, and building materials such as poles. There are four main types of mangrove in Malaysia, which are Rhizophora, Avicennia, Bruguiera, and Soneratia.
The rise of palm oil plantation in Malaysia could pose future threat to mangrove forests. Malaysia has the greatest diversity of mangrove species in the world, and mangrove forests provide multiple ecosystem services open which millions of people depend, thus provide multiple ecosystem service which is millions of people depend. In Petaling Jaya, for example, the top causes of mangrove loss in Malaysia is plantation. Through the study by National University of Singapore, studies about the case which about 18 of mangrove forests lost from 200 into 2012 years, which is covering in Asia. Based on this study, at least 32.2% of this was due to the mangrove being converted to oil palm plantation. However, local palm oil industry are not a threat to mangrove as they fully recognize the importance of the mangrove ecosystem. According to the local palm oil producer, the nature of mangrove swamp make them unsuitable for cultivation of the palm oil crops. Despite their benefit, mangrove forests have experienced extensive deforestation over the last few decades due to the global demand for commodities. The loss of mangrove occur due to logging, whether it is legal or illegal, and it was reflected in the study as mangrove forests regrow until 17.6%. This phenomena is likely to persist given the continued increase in population and global influence. The aggravator exists in the form of land reclamation project which mangrove area being repurposed for housing, industrial or aquaculture purpose. Conversion of mangrove for alternative land use to provide other commodities including the rice, agriculture and oil palm plantation also had an important role to play. The conditions of mangrove ecosystem are not suitable. The soil in mangrove soil forests are usually very anaerobic, which the plant there thrive in conditions with low oxygen. However, when raised the soil for agriculture purpose, it becomes oxygenated and turned to acidic. The situation makes it difficult to plant crops, according to Shamsuddin, which is lecturer of Faculty Forestry in University Putra, Malaysia.
Mangrove species are uniquely adapted to tropical and subtropical coasts, and although relatively low in numbers of species, mangrove forests provide at least US 1.6 billion each year in ecosystem service and support coastal livelihood worldwide. There are three impacts of loss of mangrove, such as affect the biodiversity of ecosystem, greenhouse effect, and lead to soil erosion.
The first impact of loss of mangrove is affect the biodiversity of the ecosystem. Mangrove contribute significantly to the biodiversity of the ecosystem. They serve as a feeding areas for birds, especially for the migratory birds that fly in from the northern regions in search of food and shelter. Next, various species of fish and plants also reside among the swamps surrounding the mangrove. Mangrove also trap sediment in the waterbed that is a result of erosion at the coastlines. Roots of the mangrove slow down water flow and in the process trap sedimentation. Mangrove not only provide shelter, food and nesting area for organisms, but they also improve water quality to allow aquatic life to prosper. As such, mangrove play an important role in biodiversity. Thus, loss of mangrove could potentially cause damage to the ecosystem and habitat of the animals. The next impact is the greenhouse effect. The researchers conclude that mangrove conversion to agricultural use resulted in a land use carbon footprint of 1,440 pounds of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere. The mangrove, seagrass, and salt marshes capture most of the green carbon and blue carbon in the world. Mangrove forests store up to 5 times more carbon than most other tropical forests around the world, due to the deep, organic, rich soil in which they thrive, and mangroves have more carbon in their soil alone. Therefore, cutting down mangrove means releasing larger amounts of carbon into the atmosphere. This in turn causes the wet soil to dry up, leading to the release of even more stored carbon into the atmosphere. Estimates suggest a range of between 150 million to 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide that is emitted annually due to the destruction of mangrove forests globally. Thus, loss of mangrove forests cause highly climate change in the world. It also leads to soil erosion. The mangrove vegetation reduces wave energy and slows the flow of water over the soil surface, reducing the water's capacity to dislodge sediment and carry them out of the mangrove area. At the same time, the slower water flows can allow already suspended sediments to settle out from the water, resulting in increasing deposition of sediment. When mangroves are lost, the patterns of sediment movement can change dramatically. Where marsh and soil were stable or even gradually building up, they may begin to erode so that land disappears into the sea. Further drainage and conversion of mangrove areas to other use lead to the rapid breakdown of organic matter as oxygen becomes available in the soil, which in turn causes subsidence. This is very clearly seen in several coastal areas where mangroves have been converted to aquaculture or agriculture. Thus, if there are mangrove deforestation, it can affect the roles of mangrove in prevent soil erosion to the environment. This also causes the mangrove cannot hold more water and cannot function very well during flooding season and during tsunami.
Okay, there are several challenges in maintaining the mangrove forest ecosystem, such as environmental stress, low surviving rate for replanting the mangrove, and value perception of the mangrove. There are several challenges in maintaining mangrove forest ecosystem. Firstly, environmental stress. Besides uncontrolled mangrove forest logging, the expanding shrimp aquaculture industry will be a biggest threat in maintaining the mangrove ecosystem. They exploit the forest for shrimp farming by clearing the trees to form artificial shrimp pond, which cause water contamination, over-fertilization, and pesticide that cause damage to the forest. Secondly, low surviving rate for replanting the mangrove. It is difficult to replant the mangrove on the location where mangrove have been destroyed due to several environmental factors such as seawater salinity, air temperature, and others. So, the exotic species are often used in reforestation in Malaysia, which reduce the biodiversity of replanted forests. Last, value perception about the mangrove also the biggest challenges, as the full range of ecosystem services provided by the mangrove still has not been fully explored. So, property developers and investment teams too often exploit mangrove as the value added to their housing project for generate more income. For example, the marketing message that appeared on the website of Iskandar Investment Berhad and East Ledang Development will attract more investors to invest in developing
Seterusnya,
mangrove
sebanyak
forests.
6.1 juta pokok bakau ditanam di kawasan pesisiran pantai seluas 2,393 hektar di seluruh negara bagi menangani masalah hakisan pantai bagi tempoh 2005 hingga 2012. Timbalan Menteri Sumber Asli dan Alam Sekitar Datuk Seri Dr. James Dawes Mamit berkata, bagi tahun ini sejumlah 2 juta ringgit diperuntukkan untuk kawasan seluas 70 hektar di 20 lokasi di seluruh negara.
Okay, there are three solutions in overcoming the problem of loss of mangrove. First, in social aspect, the public awareness must be enhanced for the citizens. Secondly, in government aspect, the government must develop more research and development and implement more rules and policy in overcoming this problem. And lastly, in economic aspect, more mangrove ecotourism can be developed in preserve the mangrove forest ecosystem and also can gain more income for our country. For the solution, in social aspect, public awareness must be enhanced among the citizens. Public awareness are important in maintaining mangrove ecosystem for the future generation. Malaysia Nature Society established a nature study centre supported by private company in Terengganu. So school, children and university students are taken to the centre to do nature studies on ecology of the mangrove, of flora and fauna. WWF Malaysia collaborate with University
Malaysia Terengganu in assisting public community in protecting the mangrove by replanting the plant. They realized the importance of mangrove plant in preventing natural disaster and act as a defense from the disaster. For example, the impact of 2004 tsunami on Malaysia. Many states embarked on the mangrove tree planting in the last 5 years contribute the great success and minor failure. In government aspect, the government must develop more research and development in solving this issue. The government focus on the various aspects of research and development of mangrove in Peninsular Malaysia in scope of rehabilitation and restoration of the health of mangrove.
Green event we actually started 3 years ago. When we started this, actually we find out we actually asked them, and we don't know how this mangrove planting will help. So when we started this, we finally found out that it actually not only helps to eliminate erosions of the sea, but also it helps to help the people at this rural area, because this will actually help the breeding of the fish. So from there we started in 2001. Well, and when they see the benefits, then the second year, last year, we have about 50 to 60. This year we have 80 people who actually attended, and we actually have a lot who have been asking. So we see that the response is very good, and the awareness of this green project is actually very encouraging.
Secondly, the implementation of rule and policy must be made by the government in order to protect the mangrove forest from illegal activity and excessive production natural resources. Policy are needed to sustain forest management in producing fuel wood, charcoal, and to protect the riverine and coastline ecosystem. In economic aspect, the mangrove ecotourism can be developed more in order to solve the problem of mangrove forest ecosystem. Many agencies and stakeholders promote sustainable mangrove ecotourism. Is very commendable in protecting the mangrove forest and generate more income for the country. Visitors and tourists were taken by boat to observe and explore the beauty of the mangrove flora and fauna. They are also able to experience the activities of the local community in small-scale exploitation of mangrove resources. So, these activities are both educational for the visitors and tourists, and also profit-making for the local communities.
In conclusion, there are various benefits will be gained if we protect mangrove ecosystem from the beginning, as we need to know that prevention are better than cure. Future generation has the right to know and explore the beauty of nature and enjoy the environment. Besides, all parties, especially the forestry departments of all states, non-government organizations, research institutes and others must agree to prioritize conservation and maintain sustainable management of mangrove ecosystem.